You're listening to Sports Jam, episode 25, recorded February 19th, 2012. Very Lin-teresting.
I'm Chad Satara. The Daytona 500 is right around the corner. We've got a special guest, Vince O'Connor, joining the Sports Jam team today.
I'm Stephen Pepper. Jeremy Lin. Is he the new Tim Tebow? Is he even any really good?
And I'm Rob Steele. Quoth Susan Powder, stop the Lin-sanity.
Jeremy Lin, Jeremy Lin, Jeremy Lin. Before we talk about Jeremy Lin, gentlemen, let's introduce our special host today, Vince O'Connor. Vince, welcome to the Sports Jam team this week.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, now let's forget about Vince right now. Let's talk about Jeremy Lin. What is going on in New York City? Lin-sanity, Lin Incredible. I mean,
his commercial. You've heard his new commercial, right?
I have not heard his new commercial.
Okay, hang on a minute. I have audio.
A simple game. 11 players. Inside Madison Square Garden.
And you really think Carmelo will go along with this? I really hope so. What about the body? Man, who the hell knows? Is he serious?
Always.
If they think they're going to win the Eastern Conference, the New York Knicks are going to find out that it's Mission Lin-possible.
All this season on TBS. Very funny.
That is classic. And, guys, first of all, Steven, you are loving this guy, Jeremy Lin, who was an undrafted, he's an undrafted rookie. And actually, you really can't even say he's a rookie because this is technically his second year. Undrafted, picked up by the Knicks on December 27th because all of their point guards go down. And all of a sudden, within the last 2 weeks, Jeremy Lin is the next coming of, wait for it, Tim Tebow.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it for the whole show. I refuse to. It's not football season. It's not going to happen. Mention him as much as you like.
Fine.
Why are you calling the new Tim Tebow?
Well, because what's happening in the last couple of months, and since football went on lockout, NBA's gone on lockout, what you're seeing is the major media markets, Fox, ESPN, Yahoo Sports, any sport network is picking up on a player having great games, not great seasons, games, may I add. They're latching on to this player, a la Tim Tebow in the NFL, now Jeremy Lin in the NBA, and they are making something bigger than what it actually is.
No, Chad. Tim Tebow was hyped before he even made it to the NFL. Jeremy Lin was nobody until a couple weeks ago. He's making a name for himself. That's where it's different.
Jeremy Lin was an all-Ivy League first-team player in 2009 and 2010. He averaged 17.8 points per game as a junior at Harvard and was the player of the year in the Ivy League in 2010 when he averaged 16.4 points per game, 4.4 assists, and shot the ball 52%. Don't tell me Jeremy Lin was a nobody.
Did you know about him? Did you know about him?
No, I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
Didn't know anything about him. Honestly. I'll tell you this, honestly. A couple days ago, I decided I'm going to get on my computer. I get online, start typing things. I type up Jeremy Lin. Let's see what this is about this whole Jeremy Lin, why everybody's talking about him, and why we haven't talked about him on Sports Jam. Hey, we're talking about him now because everybody else is. It's
a bandwagon.
Exactly. It's an amazing story. And real quick, Vince, welcome to the show again. You live in the New York market. What is the hype? What is the excitement all about Jeremy Lin up there in the New York market?
It's everywhere. It's all print, radio, everywhere you turn, you're hearing about Lin-sanity.
Oh, joy.
Exactly. It's crazy. But what is it? Why? Steven, why has he got all this hype? I mean, the Knicks, yes, they won 8 out of 9 games after their victory over the Dallas Mavericks on Sunday. Yes, they are hot. Yes, he has scored 20-plus points per game. He's averaging like 8 assists per game. The hype, why? Why so much?
Because the Knicks, who we thought were going to be good, were really nothing. And the last-ditch resort, Jeremy Lin. And he comes and they start winning. He's running the show. He is running the show. He's driving into the paint, dishing the ball out, making layups. He's the real deal.
But he's doing the one thing that, as a point guard in the NBA, you cannot do. And all this hype in 9 games we forget about the one thing. We've argued about it on the phone, via text messages, the last 2 weeks. Jeremy Lin is a very good story and has been a very feel-good story for the Knicks, but he's a very reckless player, in my opinion. He plays that fine line, and the turnovers, as much as he's scored, he's giving the ball up just as much, and in the system he's in, he doesn't play defense that well either.
Who in the NBA does play defense?
Thank you.
The Chicago Bulls. The only team.
Okay, so 1 out of 30 what teams?
Yeah, there's probably 30 teams, but because it's probably... No, that's college. I'm sorry. I was going to say the Big 12 has 14 teams. All right, go ahead. In any other system, Stephen, is Jeremy Lin a story? In any other system?
What do you mean, what? Any other system?
Mike D'Antoni,
any other team?
Come on, Mike D'Antoni.
Alpha Centauri, he would just be the bomb.
But Mike D'Antoni's system is known for how great their offenses are. He did great in Phoenix. Now he's in New York, and they play offense. They don't play defense. What's going to happen when they play against a defensive team? And don't you dare tell me the Dallas Mavericks are a great defensive team, because by
Yes!
God, when I saw them on the court, I swear to God, I saw Jason Kidd in a wheelchair. I saw Dirk Nowitzki with a walker. I mean, Jason Terry. I mean, come on, he had crutches. They're not a defensive team. They're the defending champions, but they're garbage.
Oh, yeah, I know. They're not a good defensive team. They just won the NBA title last year. They just beat Miami last year. Come on, they're a great team, and Lin destroyed them. He sliced and diced them.
How many turnovers did he have? How many turnovers did he have in that game?
7 turnovers, but did they win?
They did win.
Apparently.
Are you overlooking the fact that he had 28 points and 14 assists?
Thank you.
Come on. 7 turnovers? I'll take that.
If
So
you
what you want, 1 turnover a game?
think about some of the point guards he's played
trying to
against.
make plays, Chad.
If you don't turn it over that much, that means you're not really passing the ball, which is what point guards are supposed to be doing anyway.
But he's scoring.
He's scoring, and he's
God forbid.
making.
Maybe that's why Chris Carter's not in the Hall of Fame. All he does is catch touchdowns. Oh, my God. Lin's scoring. What are we going to do?
He scores, he drives, he dishes because of his assist. He's going to turn the ball over. I want a guy that's going to try to make the play and not be scared to.
Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to give you stats of two players in the same game. You tell me what you would rather have.
Jeremy Lin.
Well, it's not Y.A. Tittle. We know that.
I'm not discussing anything with you anymore, Stephen. Understand this? Honestly.
I think the Lin thing is a good story, but every so often it happens in every major sport that you get somebody who comes from out of nowhere. This year it happens to be Lin. You go back, I don't know, 10 years or so, there was and yes, I'm switching sports because I don't know basketball that well. You go to the Cardinals in baseball, and they had a guy who was projected to be, at best, a fourth-string third baseman. And everyone's, oh, well, he'll never amount to anything. And yet, you guys know who Albert Pujols is.
Yeah, he plays for the Yankees.
You go back about 10 years before that, the Dodgers, just as a favor to Tommy Lasorda, drafted a kid in the 62nd round. I didn't even know baseball had 62 rounds of a draft. Mike Piazza. Go back to the last guy that, go back farther than that, you had another guy who had a bigger hype than Lin did, Fernando Valenzuela. Do you know where he came from when he wasn't drafted?
No.
They just signed him out of Mexico. It just happens in sports every so often. I'll go to your football sport. Kurt Warner.
Tom Brady.
6th round.
Mm-hmm.
I've even got hockey numbers. I loved this. 84. In the 9th round, Luke Robitaille, Hall of Famer. In the 6th round, same draft, Brett Hull. You know who was drafted in the 4th round? I thought this was cute. Another Hall of Famer, different sport, Tom Glavine.
You're the statistician, man. You know that?
Ta-da.
He is stat boy.
He is. And, great. I understand the longevity of those players, and we have those kind of players that come around. But I asked the question, is Jeremy Lin going to be the starting point guard when Baron Davis, who was a first-round pick, played in Cleveland, he moved over to New York in a trade, he's been hurt, but now he's expected to come back in the next couple of weeks. When he comes back, is he going to put Jeremy Lin on the bench? Yes, you've got all this hype going on, but all-around better player based on...
Who's the other guard?
Do they have other guards? It doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, there's two on the court at a time. I don't follow basketball, but I know that much.
You could probably
You have a point guard and the other guard. Play them both.
And that'd be J.R. Smith would be the other guard, the guy that they just signed.
Who?
J.R. Smith. You've got Carmelo.
Who just came back from China.
How ironic is that? Anyways, all right, the hype. Yeah, and I'm going to concede because I don't have enough numbers, and I don't think anybody has enough numbers to say Jeremy Lin is going to be great or he's just a one-hit wonder. Because you've seen a lot of that in every sport. Somebody gets hyped up for a good portion of the season, and then he ends up flaking off. Or, like Rob has pointed out, you've got some players that, didn't have any hype and all of a sudden become great superstars. We don't know about Jeremy Lin right now. All I know...
Get back to us in 5 or 6 years.
Exactly. Let me see the longevity. Let's see what this does. But what he's done is he's created a national phenomenon, a worldwide phenomenon. Yes, the NBA has wanted to expand their roots overseas. The Yao Ming experiment, Yao Ming, he got hurt too much. And China is the most populated country in the world. To have an Asian American in Jeremy Lin to help be the catalyst, the spokesman for your product for an entire country is what the NBA wants. Why is it, though, that the things that are going on in America are chaotic at best? Example, Rob, you've pointed it out to us, the whole ESPN thing on Friday. Please explain why certain things...
Explain? There's no explanation for that. Someone used the phrase, there's a chink in his armor, meaning there's a weakness. It's a 600-year-old phrase meaning weakness in armor. That's what it means. And someone said, well, they said chink, so it must be some sort of racial slur. I haven't heard that as a racial slur since, like, the 3rd grade. Which, if you guys have listened to the show, you know I'm 5 million years old, so it's been a while.
5 million years older than us, so you might even be older than that.
I could be. I don't remember. I've lost track. But, I mean, for those of you who think that I just made a racial slur, fine. Here's me. I am a white guy holding a Sprite. I am a soda cracker. All right? Just...
Yeah, and
it's
and later in the show when we get really involved into NASCAR, Vince is an Irish redneck. I mean, here we go. I mean, I just don't understand how this whole media persona of insensitivity is coming about because of an American that has Asian roots. His parents moved to the country in the mid-'70s. Jeremy Lin was born in California in 1988.
Have we seen his birth certificate? I'm sorry.
He's not running for president. It is not necessary to see that now.
Can I throw something in about that real quick?
Just
because we haven't.
Things.
I like to throw things. Just because. Okay, everyone who's still having a hissy fit about Obama's birth certificate, get over it. He's been president for, 3.5 years now. Even if you find out he was born in another country, you can't just, call a penalty and erase the last 3.5 years didn't happen, put everything back the way it was. It doesn't work that way. Just get the hell over it.
And as we move from our political views here on Sports Jam, we are going to introduce...
Thank you. Here, have the soapbox.
Introduce a new segment to us. Rob, I know you've got the music cued. You've got it ready. It's time to talk NASCAR here on Sports
Let's see
Jam.
how you can do with the speed limit.
Welcome to Sports Jam's NASCAR pool.
All righty, here we go. Vince, this is your time, and I will tell you this before Steven and Rob say anything. You get on the show, and the first 20 minutes you're in the show, you have your own music. So how you've done this, I have no idea. But ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Vince O'Connor. We've been pumping up the NASCAR pool, the Sports Jam NASCAR pool, with the last couple of shows. Now it's time to really learn about the NASCAR pool. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about the NASCAR season. And in order to do that, we have to talk about last year. The 2011 season, the last race, the last turn, and we ended up with a tie, a first time ever. Tony Stewart wins the tiebreaker over Carl Edwards because he won 5 of the last 10 races. Vince, was this a surprise?
I think it was a huge surprise, and I think it was a surprise to Tony Stewart himself. When they started the chase, he said, I don't even know if we deserve to be in the chase. And then he goes right out and he wins 5 of the 10 races and is crowned the champion.
God, it was like,
Apparently the answer is yes.
Indeed, but he took over actually since they did the Sprint Cup, the race for the chase. It has been dominated by the Lowe's team. Number 48, Jimmy Johnson. Everybody expected if he got in the chase, he would dominate like he always does. He won 5 in a row. He loses. He didn't even finish in the top 3 in the points. What's Jimmy Johnson going to do in 2012 to regain the momentum and hopefully get him to the next level and chase the all-time greats in NASCAR?
Well, I think that Jimmy Johnson has something that a lot of people don't maybe have a lot of, and that is he has a lot of passion for what he does, and so does his crew chief, Chad Knaus. And I look for those guys to rebound this year and be right in the thick of things, to be real honest with you.
Well, you think they're going to make it there, but what about, I don't know, what about other drivers that should be the top drivers? You know, everybody talks Jeff Gordon, everybody talks about Carl Edwards, they talk Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart. Can we expect any, I mean, who else are the other top drivers in 2012?
I mean, there's a lot of top drivers. I mean, you've got your Kyle Busch and, like you said, Edwards, and I know you're going to get to Junior about him if he can buy the fact that he hasn't won a race in 3 years, is it now?
I don't know. I think I was just a teenager when he last won a race.
And then you have some newcomers, and you have some guys that are going to be pushing them. But you have those, 7, 8, 9 drivers that are always going to be there, every year.
No Jeremy Lins?
There may be a Jeremy Lin this year, but I don't think it's going to be as big of a surprise. You know what I mean? I think one of the biggest surprises, the obvious one's Casey Kane by moving over to Hendrick, but I think that the surprise this year may come from A.J. Allmendinger, to be real honest with you.
What about Trevor Bayne? He won the Daytona 500 last year as a part-time driver.
Come on, that was nothing but luck.
But he's now full-time.
Okay. What's your point?
Does he have a chance?
Yeah, of course. In a restrictor plate race, everybody has a chance. And I think that's where, you see the difference between those 4 races that are ran at Talladega and Daytona each year. I think, pretty much anybody has a chance when it comes to those races because everybody's equal. They have the restrictor plates. So all that is, that's foot on gas and never letting up unless you're coming into the pits.
And even then, if you see someone else's pit crew standing in the road.
Vince, we like Danica Patrick in the GoDaddy.com commercials, but what role do you think she would play in the 2012 season?
Well, in the Sprint Cup, guys, I think she's scheduled to do 10 races, and that's it. I think she's just trying to get her feet wet. I think she's competing full-time in the Nationwide Series, and I think that's where she's going to I think she'll do pretty good there. But
do you think she'll get a victory?
I don't know about that, guys. I think I would like to see that, and I think there's a lot of people that would like to see that, but who knows?
Her popularity did so well in Indy. How's it going to turn over into NASCAR? Because you think Danica Patrick, the cute, short, and Steven, you can relate to the short, the cute, short girl.
And cute. Steven's adorable.
Oh.
All right, we've definitely taken a right-hand turn and a left-hand man's right. But how does her popularity spill over into NASCAR? I know she's done a couple races, but now she's going to do some Sprint Cup racing. She's the most popular racer, in my opinion, other than Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And I would agree with that. This is the first year that she's not going to have any responsibilities in the other racing segments that she was doing in the IndyCar racing. So I think being able to focus on just this will be a huge plus for her, and I think having a woman there is actually going to help the sport.
Okay, so now we've talked about some racers, surprise racers, dominant racers, rookie racers, female racers. Now let's talk about
erasers.
Yeah, let's talk erasers. Nice, Rob. Nice. Well, and actually, the NASCAR pool, you have to erase some things. Let's talk about the NASCAR pool now. This is the first year that SportsJAM has kind of piggybacked with the NASCAR pool, but this is not the first year that the NASCAR pool that you've been involved in has evolved. Let's talk about what the NASCAR pool is all about to you, when it started, and what are some of the key rules to this pool?
We started in 2007. At that time when we started it, it was just limited to like 14 guys. Changed the format a couple times with the help of a couple of the friends that are in it, and we came to what we have today, which, you know, I think what we had last year in our pool was just exciting as what NASCAR put on the track, and that was we ended up having a tie in our pool, and first and second place ended up splitting. And that was done on the very last race of the year, where a guy came from behind by, I don't know, 15, 20 points and ended up tying it on the very last week. So we had some excitement in that pool. We've changed the rules to mirror what NASCAR does, with the exception of what we do is you have to pick, before the season starts, you have to pick what racer you think is going to win each and every race. You cannot duplicate the same race car driver more than twice. So if you have Jimmy Johnson in the first race, you can only pick him one more time during the course of the year. And whatever points they get in their race, that's exactly how many points you get, and we just keep track of it that way.
What if a driver gets suspended and you've got him to win the next race?
You get 0 points.
Wow.
That hurts.
That hurts.
So you're saying they have to pick the winner before the season starts. At any point during the season, I know if you make it to you get to the end of the season, you got the last 10 races, does the pool actually, you said it mirrored NASCAR, does the pool mirror NASCAR also when it comes to the last 10 races?
That's correct. We take the first 26 races, and then whoever's in the top 10 at that point in time, they're eligible for what we call our chase, and then the 2 wild cards, which are the 2 people who are not in the top 10 that have the most victories.
Wow. So, I mean, if a person is really into NASCAR every week, I mean, there's no surprises. You can come next weekend when the Daytona 500 throws the green flag down. Everybody in this pool will know who they've picked and who all the other competitors have picked, not only for the Daytona 500, but also Homestead, Miami in November.
That's correct.
Steven, sounds like your kind of deal.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds good, but Vince, let me ask you, who have been the strong players in the past pools?
We have the new guy from last year, Dave, who in his very first year ended up tying for first. The gentleman who won last year also tied, the co-champion was Pat. Pat, that's his second time he's won this pool.
Wow, in 5 years?
Yeah.
Wow, dominance.
Well, he wasn't even in it the first 2, so.
Oh, jeez. That's complete dominance. I mean, is he that smart on NASCAR, or really?
Well, I can tell you this. I was on vacation with him last year when he made his picks, and after a couple beers and he made his picks, you'd have never thought he was going to win, but he won, trust me.
He drinks beer? You mean the rednecks that do NASCAR drink beer?
You guys would be surprised. We've got our chase participants last year, the top 10, and last year we only had 1 wild card, but our top 10 last year, pretty much the same guys that have been in there, and some guys who didn't make the chase last year who made it in the past. So it's a crapshoot. You're picking a driver to win a race way in advance, 36 races in advance, so a lot of it's luck.
When do they have to have all these picks in, and when do you say no more, we can't have too many entries? How many entries do you expect this year, and like I said, when do they have to be turned in?
They have to be in by Saturday, the day before the Daytona. I'll take them up till race time. As soon as they drop the green flag, then I'm done.
I'll tell Bobby. He's the guy who did the voice in your opening song, by the way.
All right, last thing for you, Vince, and I really appreciate you taking the time and getting our SportsJAM family into NASCAR, because I know last year we had an email from a gentleman by the name of Justin who thought we would never talk about NASCAR. This is for you, Justin, and this part of the pool is for you, the smack talk. What is all about this smack talk? Because You don't hear smack talk in NASCAR, do you?
Is that a drug reference? Oh, sorry.
It's it's the part of our pool that's the most enjoyable to me, because you got the likes of Karen and Rocco, who actually have their little side bets going on during the course of the year, and they're basically the two that started it. And then you've had several people chime in over the course of the last few years to it. A lot of people sit back and just listen to it and see it on emails. But I got to tell you, it makes this pool that much more enjoyable, because, hey, it's smack talk. And I'm telling you, Karen can dish it out with the best of the guys. So
it is awesome. Well, Vince, we appreciate it. I know every week we're going to update what's going on the pool. Maybe we'll add some of the email comments from the smack talk. But NASCAR pool, if you as a Sports Jam listener wants to get involved, make sure you email the show, the real Sports Jam NASCAR at gmail.com. We'll get the information all to you before next Saturday's deadline. And Vince, again, we appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, Rob, let's close out the show. Let's do some Sports Jam triple-double. As mentioned last week, the Detroit Red Wings did set the NHL record for most consecutive wins at home. Now the streak has hit 23 after they beat Dallas, Nashville with 5 seconds to go in regulation, and San Jose. They look to continue the streak this week, but have to hit the road first in Chicago. They play on Thursday, the 23rd, home against the defending Western Conference champion Vancouver, and on Saturday against the Colorado Avalanche. Can the Red Wings extend the streak to 25?
This past Saturday, I saw something a bit unusual. With only 6 minutes left in the Florida State win over North Carolina State, referee Carl Hess ejected former NBA forward Tom Gugliotta and former NCAA careers assist leader Chris Corchiani, both of which were NC State alumni. Why were they ejected? Well, here's the catch. No one's really sure. Corchiani said that he and Gugliotta were actually commenting about how Carl Hess was not having the best day as a ref. That doesn't really mean that they should get ejected, does it? And just out of curiosity, if he was in the NBA, would he eject somebody like Spike Lee or Jack Nicholson? I wonder how well that'd go over.
The NBA playoffs just got a little more Lin-teresting. With the addition of J.R. Smith and Baron Davis, coupled with the emergence of Jeremy Lin, the New York Knicks may be the team to beat. Yes, their 16-6 record isn't that great, but they are 8-2 in their last 10, and only 4.5 back of Philly in the Atlantic. Carmelo Anthony's coming back, and do I even need to say that Tyson Chandler is a beast? Prediction: Knicks win the Atlantic and make a run deep into the playoffs.
Although Murray State Roasters point guard Isaiah Cannon could be considered the best player in college basketball in 2012, he might have proven after Murray State's 65-51 victory over number 16 St. Mary's that he might not be the smartest. In a post-game interview, Cannon stated, "Duke and North Carolina better watch out because the Racers are coming to give you a game. 1, you beat St. Mary's, and 2, you play in the OVC. So I say, as we ready for Rob's wrestling triple-double, and to quote WWE superstar The Miz, really? Really? Really?"
That's awesome.
This week's wrestling news, boring. Concerning the 2012 Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, if you entered with a belt, you left with a belt. CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Beth Phoenix, they win. Yahoo! Chris Jericho allegedly gets injured. Now he's free to go off and do his Fozzy tour over the summer. And who won the Kane-Cena match? Frankly, I don't care. I turned it off. We all know Cena's going off to fight The Rock at WrestleMania. And Kane, I'm afraid I don't care anymore.
Allen Iverson is in major financial trouble right now. A judge has ordered his wages garnished to pay back a jewelry debt of $850,000. Wow. Wow. AI needs a job bad, and the Rochester Lancers have made an offer. The Rochester Lancers are a pro indoor soccer team that has 2 regular season home games left. They have offered him $20,000 a game and $5,000 for every goal he scores. I think I might play indoor soccer for that kind of jack.
Really? That's awesome.
Really?
Sports Jam will be back next week with another knockout episode. But until then,
follow us on Twitter at TRSportsJam, friend us on Facebook, or email us at therealsportsjam@gmail.com.
thank you to our sponsor, the Danny Nagy Band. Until next week, Sports Jam, we're out.